Good morning again, this is Neil Spade from Thurrock Nub News, and this is something of a personal commentary. I tend just to try and get out and about and report on news and whatever's going, and I've been called a local nosy busybody and this, that and the other, which goes along. That was by a council worker the other day, and I'm sure some of you out there absolutely agree. I would like to assure you that I am a professional journalist with many years experience, and we run Thurrock Nub News, which hopefully keeps an eye on local issues of local concern. The reason I'm in Aveley High Street is because I was driving over to from the report I did about the GMB down at Lakeside, and I'm just popping over to Ockenden to have a look at a story that we may be covering in the next few days. But I happened to drive through Aveley, and I noticed a rather elderly gentleman had been stopped by a couple of the enforcement officers that are employed by Thurrock Council. You've probably seen them about. They don't have any high vis, they wear dark uniforms, they don't have any badging on, they have no name ID or anything like that. But they patrol our streets. And you may have been following Thurrock Nub News. There are 10,000 out of you out there who follow this particular Facebook page. And you'll have seen that in the last few days we've done a lot of stories that have dealt with enforcement. We've dealt with stories about travellers moving onto a site illegally and the council being very slow to react. We've done stories about flooding and the council not being slow to react. Although, to be fair, that's not necessarily an enforcement issue. And lots of enforcement stories. It seems all of them are. The other morning, in the middle of the morning, about just 1:30, I was reporting on an enforcement issue on a local industrial estate. Where the council appear to have turned a blind eye to things that are going because they don't want to enforce it. But it seems the council does have one thing that it's red hot on in terms of enforcement, and the gentleman that I've just seen, and I spoke to him as best I could, is foreign and doesn't have very good English, but he's now in receipt of a fine of £140 because he had the temerity of dropping a cigarette butt on the street in Aveley this morning. Now, I do not condone dropping cigarette butts in Aveley. I think it's wrong. I think you should take your rubbish home with you. However, the fact that we've got so many things that the council are refusing to enforce and turning a blind eye to, and indeed last night I covered a meeting with the police commissioner where the issue of nuisance motorbikes and Operation Caesar came up, and our council leader, Rob Gledhill, spoke about the fact that the council may not be afforded to help enforce things like that. But these guys are out with their little machines giving out fines of £140 for dropping a cigarette butt on a street. One just has to question what is the perspective of this. As I say, I don't condone dropping litter. It's a passion of mine, I hate it. But you know, it's not an enforcement. The guy, and I've tried to speak to him and I've given him my card and details and I've taken his details. He doesn't really understand what's happened to him this morning. So I don't think it's necessarily a question of enforcement, although when he finally realises he's just been fined £140 for having a quick fag, it may well stop him. But it's just this question of, you know, what is Thurrock Council here to do? Is it here to have people dictate what we, the residents, do? Or is it here to serve us? And you sometimes have to worry about that question. I didn't film the officers. There is an argument, and it's a valid one. I suppose they're just doing their job. However, what I did notice was they got in their car and they left Aveley, and they're shooting off wherever they're shooting off to carry out their work. But it was quite interesting. As they drove away, the guy in the car touched his brake lights, and one of his back brake lights wasn't working. Should I ring the council and dub him in and see if he gets a fine for having an illegal vehicle? Because that seems to be the Stasi state that we're getting to. Just a personal reflection to share with you this morning.